I had a conversation recently with someone very important to me. During this conversation, I realized something disturbing about myself. When I look at myself in a mirror, or when I see myself on a screen, I tell myself, wow, you are ugly. What's interesting about this conversation with this person, who by the way is a female, is that she was surprised that I think this about myself. I was surprised that she was surprised. She didn't know men struggle with body image and body appearance. I thought people knew that men also struggle with this, but it seems like it's not as obvious as I thought. I understand where she's coming from because the messaging in society is much more explicit, much more blatant. There's much more messaging towards women. I believe messages also exist towards men. It's just that they're a bit more subtle. I know men close to me who struggle with this, who tell themselves the same thing I tell myself, who believe they're not good looking, they're ugly, even if they've heard 1,000 times from the people around them or from strangers that they're good looking. Now, for someone who spends a lot of time in front of a camera, I can't be thinking that I'm ugly. I have to learn how to like myself, how to like how I look. For me to like myself and how I look in front of a camera, I have to embarrass myself. And so I'm gonna share things that I've been ashamed of, things I'm embarrassed about. The earliest memory I have about feeling self-conscious about my body is early middle school. At that time, I started to develop body hair, and a lot of it. And a lot of it in places I did not want it. In middle school, we had to change into sports clothes for PE class, which of course we would do in the locker room. Well, by that time, I already had a carpet of hair on my back. This is me getting embarrassed, good. And so I would turn my back to the lockers so no one could see my back. And I would change. In the summer, people would throw pool parties. I'd get an invitation, and I'd be excited for a split second. Then I'd remember, oh wait, I have to have my shirt off. So at these pool parties, I was hyper aware of who was behind me and making sure my back wasn't turned to anybody. Another thing I've always been embarrassed about, and in fact, I've always hated, is I have a mole under my right eyebrow. When I was younger, before I had facial hair, I used to look at myself in the mirror as I would get ready for school. And I used to see this mole, and I have another spot here, a dark spot, and I also have one here on my chin. And I used to see this line of these 3 dots. And I used to tell myself, you are so ugly. And I used to think, wow, I cannot wait till I grow out a beard. That way, at least one of these spots can be covered. To this day, this mole under my right eyebrow bothers me. When I look at myself in the mirror, that seems to be the first thing my eyes go to. It's almost as if I don't have a face, like that is my face, and the rest of my face doesn't exist. The things I tell myself are, why couldn't it have been a little higher up so that it would blend in with my eyebrow? Should I get it removed? Or should I keep it? Anytime I take a photo, either a selfie, or if someone takes a photo of me, I turn this way. Because I don't like how this side of my face looks. All of this is silly, very silly. Because these things that I tell myself, these things that I think about my appearance, they actually say more about the society I come from than they do about my body. If I were born and raised in a vacuum, where I had never heard any message about body appearance, I would think there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. I'm confident about that. But I didn't grow up in a vacuum. I grew up in a human society where messages about appearance are a part of life, and they come in different forms. Explicit about what you should or shouldn't look like, or something a bit more subtle that you sort of pick up on based off how people express what they're attracted to. So, in the southern United States, in the area I grew up in, most people around me were white. No one seemed to have any hair, or if they did, it was too light to see. I picked up on the subtle messaging of what's attractive. Body hair was not attractive. When people expressed their attraction to people, body hair was not one of the criteria. Also, marks on the face, like moles or other dark spots, were never seen or never expressed as beautiful, but rather as blemishes. I must have learned this somewhere along the way, that these marks on the face are blemishes, that hair isn't attractive, since that's how I think about these things. Now, I also received more explicit messaging. And what's interesting about this is that the more explicit messaging actually came from my own family. And I'm not saying this out of anger, I'm not saying this to call anyone out, but rather just as an observation. The messages that are put out in society about really anything, but in this case, how you should look, are so strong to the point that people in your own family start to believe them and start to put them on you. So I got things like, you need to get rid of the hair on your back from a young age, or you need to shave your legs. There's no one correct body type. And what we think is a correct body type or an ideal body type is more a result of the society we grew up in. I'm saying this and I'm preaching to the choir because if anyone needs to learn this, it's me. This is not a pity video. I'm not looking for pity comments. I'm just talking about something that seems like it needs to be talked about. People don't know that men think about these things and struggle with these things as well. And that deserves more visibility. Men shouldn't think that they're the only ones who think these things as well. They need to know that other men think about this.